I'm back. Actually, that is super useful to know. So you could hear me still the whole time, even though my camera was frozen. Okay. That is so what I'm doing. My main tower isn't set up in this nice in my living room, which is the where I have a very nice um my nice wall of books and everything. My main tower is in my office. But what I'm doing is I'm streaming my camera through a service to my computer. And in the last like 2 weeks, it started freezing periodically, and I don't have a good answer for why. There we go. I came back. It's Wi-Fi. Everything's set up as Wi-Fi, but my Wi-Fi has been very stable for generally speaking. Um, and the answer to fixing it is to just delete and re-enter the link to the camera. Um, and that fixes it. Like the camera's frozen, the stream's up, the computer has like I'm remote tunneled into my main tower, and that stays up. Everything stays up. But yes, it's probably the Wi-Fi. Also, hello, Otter. Thank you. Otter and Otter. That's a great name. But it didn't break for a while, and now it breaks. It is a good question, though. What is my. Well, okay, there's part of the problem. I'm on 2.4. And oh, the laptop's on 5 gig. I will fuck with my Wi-Fi stuff after stream though, because otherwise stream will go down when I change my tower over. No, I am actually attempting to write forward, but I keep ending up. I'm a little like I hit a spot where I'm a little stuck, so I'm like futzing kind of back up the stuff I've written to see if I can unstuck myself. But I'm writing sci-fi fantasy, political thriller, following non-human um, main characters. Um, yeah, Autonaut. I agree with the like try to write as much as you can, which is what this stream is about. But I feel like what I'm trying not to do is endlessly edit things. Like I can put something down and be like, I'm not happy with the scene, but the scene got me to where I need to be narratively. Um, and so I'll move on with it and I'll leave it for editing. God damn it. One second. But I think there's a difference between that and being like, all right, I can't really move into the next scene because I'm not bridging these scenes correctly. Before my, before your my stuff decided to pull a J.K. Rowling's credibility. What do you mean by that? Oh, my stream. That makes sense. I was like, come on, you just got here. We haven't even talked about my writing. That hurt. But you're talking about the stream. That makes more sense. Um, have you read the Greenbones saga? I forget who the author of the Greenbones saga is off the top of my head. It's it is a world with magic in it that is semi-modern and has like a mix of retro. Like it's set up in a way that is it by Kim? Fucking maybe it is my internet. Um, Fonda Lee. Um, by Fonda Lee. Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. But it's what you're talking about. I think the difference, the split there between like a realized secondary world with magic in it and urban fantasy is that urban fantasy is our world with magic, generally speaking, hidden. Like the magic is in some way not directly interacting with like the majority of the modern world. If the magic and like fantasy stuff is interacting with the magic, or like if the majority of the world is influenced by the magic, I think you move into like modern fantasy. I don't know, like it. I don't. The genre for it is a little funky, which is kind of where I'm at in some ways. Okay, yeah. So your urban fantasy, nice. That's a fun. It's fun to work. I've been working in. I've been playing in this world for a depressingly long amount of time. A depressingly long amount of time. 20 years or more. Since like elementary school in some ways, but it's nice to have kind of a world where you can do all of your writing in. And I really like it because if I get really bored of working on a project, I can go off and do a different project, and it never feels like a waste of time and space because I'm like in some other facet discovering or developing a another component of the world. Thank you, Chris. I My main character of this story, who weirdly is not actually present in the scene that I am working on um, at the moment, but my main character of this story is the kid of the two characters that are in this scene. She is supposed to be from a time after a massive apocalypse has ravaged the universe. She decided she didn't like that and like forced herself like thousands of years into the future or into the past and took over the narrative as the main character. I remain mildly offended by this. She is, however, a lot of fun to write. Although, interestingly, her father was the main character before, and I don't know how different they would be if you read my old writings compared to. I know they're different characters. I don't know how well of a job I've done with the voice of the character. I tried to do. I finished and wrote a full novel. Yes, my sir, I will get there. I finished and wrote a full novel that had multiple perspectives as my first novel, and then I rewrote it from first person to third person. I did a lot to that thing. Um, and then I've written a bunch of like 35 to 50,000 word like stubs of novels. This is my first time I'm trying to like lock myself down and push through it. And I've made the very deliberate choice to like I, God damn it, my camera froze again. Um, that's pretty good, Jessica. I don't know if you caught me talking about um, my first novel that I wrote in this setting had a bunch of perspective characters and was in first person, and I shifted everything to third. It was a disaster. I'm being very deliberate and trying to limit my number of perspectives, primarily to one character. Um, I have almost entirely books that I've read. The exception to that is this shelf right here, which is my to be read shelf, which is many, many, many books. But my library, you're going to see a bit of the mess that is the rest of my living room. Where's my and one other shelf over there? Is entirely books that I have read. It is largely sci-fi and fantasy. There's a little bit of urban fantasy in there, which is still fantasy. I have some nonfiction, but by and large, hey, the French Revolution is a great point of divergence. Um, I have my shelves organized by genre, subgenre technically. So up here at the very top is my nonfiction and some writing books and things like that. And then it's like straight fantasy, starting with Lord of the Rings. Down at the ground floor, on the ground down here somewhere, you have R.A. Salvatore, like Forgotten Realms. Until you get to like historical fantasy, and then urban fantasy into like what do I call it? Like historical apocalypse fantasy and sci-fi. Hi, Reiji. Void, you need to meet the rest of the. You need to meet the audience. And this is Reiji, my 15-pound void. Who's just been scooped. As you can tell, he's quite upset about having been scooped, obviously. That's why he's letting me get all the belly rubs in. Uh, I'm using a piece of shit netbook as my chat, which is why sometimes things get a little wonky. I mean, everything. A lot of half-price bookstore visits. For a little while, I lived in Texas, and I got to go visit the half-price bookstore in Dallas, which is like half-price bookstore number one, and is a warehouse basically of used books. I'm up in the Pacific Northwest, so I've gone to Powell's before we learned about their worker rights issues. But like as a kid, one of my Christmas presents as a kid was my mom took me to Powell's, which is a massive like 5-story city block sized used bookstore. And I had a big list of books I wanted to get, books I'd read at the library, books I'd read, or continuations of series. There's a lot of like long series behind me. And she bought me, I think it was like $200 or $300 worth of books. It came up to my waist as a kid, so it was like a probably 3.5 foot stack of books. These, but I've been collecting these books most of my life. I have books from like when I was a kid in one corner. There's some I need to get out of this collection. I try to purge periodically. I don't do a ton of purging. Sometimes I'm like, I don't like this book anymore. I'm like, I should read it again. And I'll read it and be like, no, okay, I do still like this book. The families were the guards of the French oligarchy. Oh, interesting. You had a guard class seize power from the royals. Fascinating. I'm so paranoid about my camera right now. But it's so comfy over here. I need a new office chair. Suppose I should have. The office that just flashed up on screen my backdrop there is junk, my junk shelf. But above that, all of that art is art of the family, the main family from this that I had a friend do many, 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 many years ago. Hmm. I'll agree with you that most people don't want to hear about it. It is some of my favorite stuff in world building. I highly recommend taking a second to read the Green Bones, or taking a chunk of time to read the Green Bones saga. Um, just so you, because I think you'll appreciate it in that same structure of like blending. Here's the conversation about the world government or the governments of the world, like into the narrative. I made a bad fucking choice, or okay, the book made the choice. My characters got away from me. This went from this was supposed to be a book really focused on like, that feeling. I don't know, you might not, but in your late 20s, early 30s, where you had a life plan and that life plan kind of goes to shit because the real world doesn't line up with the life plan. This was supposed to be a book about that. My main character has a life plan, and I'm taking it away from her. And the book was supposed to be about her navigating what it means to suddenly have a I appreciate that Automod flagged the word cunt. That was really funny. Um, and the story has instead become, instead of like navigating that whole element, the story has become her getting kicked out and what it all means. And it is apparently 106,000 words in before the falling action. I'm so upset by that. Might happen here is that I would actually cut this. I might be about to finish book one. Oh shit. Yeah, I think I am about to finish book one. God damn it. This was supposed to be book. I just. Oh. Um, yeah, the existence of a portable camera in every pocket has really fucked urban fantasy. Did I freeze again? Yeah, the smartphone has really fucked urban fantasy and made urban fantasy have to really work hard to unwind itself. All right, I love my book background, but I am sick as hell of this internet issue. We're gonna move back to the other desk. One second.
Test, test. There we go. Oh god, now I can hear myself again. Alright. The camera issue has become annoying. We have returned to what used to be my standard issue streaming setup. Boop. Which at least means I know my chat is going to run more stable. And my ability to monitor chat is going to be more stable. One second, though. I need to go grab... I could just bring my more comfy chair in here, but... I did really want my books to be back here, but we couldn't get the bookshelves down the hallway. So instead we get a mildly messy right now, which I know better than to do. Oh wait, no, you have diamond. Bummer. We get this beautiful backdrop with lighting that doesn't work. But it's fine. Well, one of the really, really interesting things about smartphones and the mass adoption, like the mass knowledge of communication, is that it's changed fantasy. It's not just changed sci-fi, but it's changed fantasy now, where some form of mass communication, maybe not mass recording, but mass communication, shows up in a lot of sci-fi or fantasy. Now, it's the message spell in D&D has changed. Used to be a telegram, and now it's a lot more of a, like, conference call kind of thing. I'm still standing because there was a reason. Oh, I'm going to get myself some tea. Which, I don't need my camera to be on, or, you know, I guess I could have hit the brake button for this, but where's the fun in that? This is a totally proper and professional stream, right, guys? I need to diagnose whatever this issue I'm having, though, is, because it doesn't make... As an issue, it doesn't make any sense. Because it went from stable to unstable. Although I realize the problem with me being able to walk away is that I'm pontificating for chat. I have no vision on chat right now. Chat doesn't need to hear me just pontificate on random thoughts. But I'm too lazy to walk the 10 feet back to my computer. So you guys get to have me pontificate for a second. Yeah. Shit, I did that in the wrong order. Oh. I learned something new about my microwave. I'm microwaving my tea to heat it back up, not because I'm a monster. I love it. Retro Modern works really well. just added some music. There it goes. When I get there, I'm gonna give it another couple seconds. All right. I am going to come at this from a new angle, which is, what if this is basically the end? Oh. It's as if I don't know my own keyboard. God damn. I think it would still be kind of nice if I got a divider and brought the pictures forward so people could see them more. But we lose the swords. That's a bummer. Maybe not. Is magic involved? Because magic makes that an easy answer. No secret passageways. a particularly clever thief might be able to relock the door or the window. Nope. Gonna have to work on that sentence. No sign of a struggle. Argues left of free will, or was snatched quickly by a professional. Be raging. You're gonna be. Are the window? Hold on. The windows, doors are locked. Are they still locked? Like, there's not an obvious unlocked window kind of thing. And no magic. No secret passage into the room? That'd be my first guess. Is a servant's passageway or something like that. That's forgotten. It's out the window. Is some would be my bet. Somebody came through the window, and the kid left through the window, and they were able to relatch the window. It's doable. With the right thieves' tools. without magic on the play, and without a secret entrance, like a secret. So my first bet would be somebody took a servant's quarters or a secret entrance kind of thing. Because that is pretty common. And then my second guess is out the window. With thieves' tools to... Yeah. So that sounds like servants' quarters is out of the question. So my guess would be out a window with the right thieves' tools to relatch the lock. And in a way that has the character going willingly or semi-willingly, or being grabbed quickly before and like subdued before able to raise a struggle. I imagine that is the main mystery. Other options include that the child never left the room, and or the child never entered the room. If we're going with a Sherlock Holmesian grand strategy. Right, I gotta stop. Oh wait, no, I know the answer. I'm putting chat over here. Haha. Now chat has blocked the distraction. Again, in a world of magic, I'd say through the phone or with the phone somehow. What? I mean, something that gets somebody out of a perfectly locked room. Teleportation, even the Scooby Doo sucked into a digital world. Um, I guess maybe not magic, but without a supernatural argument. Some kind of superpower turned into mist, turned into, you know. Yeah, I imagine because you're writing urban fantasy, right? So I imagine that's going to kind of lead the main character into that world. If you're doing the there's a trope for it, but the newcomer to the magic or newcomer to the magical world. But tonight. Who's gonna be? Who's not gonna do anything tonight? Nice. Is it all unique continent, unique countries? I guess not. You have the French, so it's our world. Oh, the asshole can wait. Okay, where's that? Again. Yeah. Anything rash? Not after. Been so heavily. Just. Hi. The crisis. The crisis will be there in the morning. Actually, you know what? This makes sense to take over. We're gonna put this here for now. I skirted that by making my characters immortal in the elven sense, but um, so at least a couple of them can pop up. But it really depends on how much if you're writing for the characters or if you're writing the world, right? There's a nice thing about new characters, fresh perspectives of your world. Right. I the original idea for this book, which admittedly I'm enough of a discovery writer that I'm kind of just letting my characters take me where they will. But one of the initial goals of this book is that I'm trying to write a um a story focusing kind of more on small stuff. This ended up being a bigger story with more stakes to it. But like a character who's lost her life goals and is kind of just trying to like get through the depression and the like lack of purpose and stuff after being somebody who was like rigidly had a like defined purpose in her life is me really trying to spend just time in the world, like letting the world wash through and around things. Which I know is not a popular. It's not a particularly popular style of storytelling, right? People like. I don't know. I like it. I like spending the time in the world, but that's why I write for fun. I am going to try to publish this, but I don't think I'm going to end up going through a publisher. I always caution. I'm really bad at getting to things that people have sent me. I am easily distracted and have too many things going on. Um, and that I don't do beta reading on stream because my point on stream is to try and read it. You're welcome to send it to me. I might already have somebody's thing that I need to read sitting in an email somewhere. Shit. Um, but with those caveats, I'm not a huge like I'm not I'm trying to get the words down, not the beta reading down. Do I owe somebody some reading? Now that I've said that out loud, I need to check to see if I owe somebody some reading. Oh, that was a terrible sound to make into this mic. I apologize. Yes, but I don't think I saved it in a way that I can remember what it is. Um, but this is why, in general, I warn people. I'm like, I am happy to. Oh, I found it. Haha. Very loosely promise to try and get to things, but I cannot promise in any particularly firmness to get to thing. Ad break in 20 seconds. I'm hoping. I got a bunch of this stuff set up. People would Twitch sub to me, and it was going nowhere, so I had to get monetization stuff set up, which I really appreciate. But I'm hoping the ad breaks aren't too bad. I'm hoping your ad blocker blocks them. Oh, I can't use. Hold on. Ooh. Okay, good. Stream, you get to actually see me looking through my notes. So this is my world Bible. Oh, okay, hold on. We're on an ad. I don't know if you guys can see me. Which includes multiple conlangs. So yeah, it's everything from. It's the Tales of Iridathka notebook. There's probably 500,000 words in this world Bible at various places. I want cowardly. Elite, Shadow Loyalist, Shirker, Fire Spreader. Wamikeris? We'll use Wamikeris. Oh, you were talking about your government, right? I present. We'll get to that one in a second. I present my socio-political axis charts for my main nation where my main characters live. Um, this is the org chart of military commands, specifically who reports to who is on the military high council, um, who's on the defense committee, things like that. For one country, here's a brief overview of my um, government structure, but more importantly, here are my notes actually explaining what the government does within the nation. And I have a Bill of Rights, which I needed for like a single line of word, which is on me. That is Scapel. It comes with Scrivener, or it used to, and is by far my favorite. What's it called? Bubble chart, I guess. What are these called? Fuck, I forget what these are called. Mind maps. Um, because it's not when I have. It came with Scrivener, and I don't have to pay for it again. I think I have another one bookmarked that's free, but I don't remember. That's the wrong place to go. That's why I don't look through. Mind map. That's the word I wanted. Mind map. Hold on. Let me check my software. Yeah. I wonder, is Scapel. Oh, shit. Um, Scapel gives you a free 30-day trial, as in 30 days of active use, not. And Scapel, how much is Scapel? Scapel is $20 on its own. But it is my favorite mind mapping software that I found. But there's some decent ones these days. Mind map. Let's see. Yeah, there's a couple here that I've pulled up. My biggest issue, I really liked Booble.us, but you can only have 3 mind maps before it kicks you out. Hmm. I cannot vouch for this in any way. But Wise Mapping is a open source and this is the desktop version, but is an open source mind mapper. Yeah, there's some AI bullshit built into this, but I don't think it's actively selling your data to the. I think you have to like toggle the AI. But that might be worth a check. Interesting. I'm also a little worried. Scrivener doesn't work. Scrivener struggles with. Sorry. Scrivener struggles with a little bit with cloud saving. And at least on Windows, it's actually fine on Mac. And I'm about to move everything over to Linux. And I'm gonna have to run Scrivener through Wine, which I know has had issue, like is not 1,000% stable. The one I just had up. Sorry, Manic, I missed your message, but I assume. You're talking about this. I cannot in any way vouch for this program. The fact that it has AI high in its list is a massive negative for me, but it is an open source tool, so I imagine it is not actively selling your data the way Windows is. But it is a mind mapping tool for free. Wise mapping is what it's called. I was talking about Scalpel, which I bought back when I got for free when I got Scrivener many years ago. But my friend Jessica up there is, unable at the moment to purchase Scrivener or Scalpel, which is like $21. Which I don't think it has enough features to be worth the $21 purchase. I haven't looked into it in a while. Has LibreOffice... Where did they end up with AI? Okay. LibreOffice has 0 non-native AI features. It runs locally on your machine. Okay. That makes me feel better, actually, about suggesting LibreOffice to people. I also need to move my shit out of fucking OneNote. But that is not a easy and fun activity. Is there a subscription for Scrivener? Oh, pay for the update. Yeah, I don't honestly know which. I think I'm running Scrivener 3. I don't. I don't know. Um, yeah, I'm running 3.1. Okay. I can't use Weasel. I mean, I can use Weasel, but there's a lot of cultural, political reasons why they might not be using the word weasel. Um. Oh shit! What's it called? Shit. Shit. Oh, okay. Oh, I need to. Did I change this to this? Yeah. Okay. Um. I will recommend wholeheartedly, even though it is an annual subscription. The free version is pretty solid still. World Anvil. You can do some really cool things in World Anvil. Um, I am terrible at using it correctly, but well, Adrianople's not is going to be a stub article. Let's go. So you like write an article that's under cities and towns, and you can like link to the next article. It's a pseudo wiki format. I need to switch to. What I've done here in World Anvil. Um, cool. It has a pretty decent text editor. It's not my favorite. Again, I'm going to use Scrivener more than I'm going to use anything else. But what's important is I think in my links down below, if you guys want to read like the first, I think it's Homecoming. It's this. It's the first like section of the book. You can go read it, and it's less of an eyesore. And there is a dark mode. I don't remember where the dark mode button is, but there is a dark mode. But it's less of an eyesore than like you land on this page, and it's a fairly comfortable kind of read through. I have allegedly have comments. You can leave comments. Um, this is copies from an alpha draft, so it's an older document. Um, but it's intended to be able to build up a community and things like that. But you can do like world maps with interactive, depending on how much you're paying. You can do world maps with interactive dots and all kinds of things. Um, it's also meant for roleplay, so you have stat blocks and stuff like that. I like World Anvil. I can't wholeheartedly recommend it over like freeware. And I'm not gonna move all my world building into World Anvil, even though it's really meant for that. I It would take me so long. It will take me so much effort to move all of my world building into anything outside of OneNote, and I need to do it soon. World Anvil does like writing contests and stuff though. There's a interest. It's a pretty active active community and stuff. much of it. I was checking something. What was I checking? That's what I was checking. I mean, Jessica, if you've got the skills, it's not a terrible plan to build your own mind mapping program. Chronicler. Do I have this bookmarked? Is this one of the ones I have bookmarked? I have a world building tool that I keep skipping over when I'm looking through my bookmarks to talk to people about. I have Fantasia Archives. Which I don't know how good it is. Oh, Jesus, that website is running like ass. I don't know how good of a manuscript document it is. Then you have Chronicler. Ooh, uses the WikiLinks system. Very nice. Very nice. Actually, it's very similar looking to Fantasia Archive. I might move to one of these instead of Obsidian. Let me link both of these to be... they're talking about adding interactive maps. Hey, there's a Versus Fantasia archive. Fantasia archive is no longer active. Okay. That's actually useful to know. This is a very interestingly structured pro con, very clearly bent in one way, right? But Chronicler seems pretty solid. Yeah, I'd give Chronicler a try. What is Wonder Draft? A fantasy creation map. Or map creation tool. That's not. I have a lot of those. No, for sure. Chronicler looks solid. LibreOffice not being AI is also really good. My my writing piece of focus in the links down below, which is my me trying to like keep something semi updated about the project I am working on. And I'm choking on popcorn. That's there you go. That's embarrassing. Um, which maybe I need to update right now. Hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna update it. I go through. I made a Proton account, and you have a very limited free Proton. A very small amount of stuff you can put on Proton. Um, if you want to be able to have access to things across the multiple clouds or across multiple devices. What's the? That's embarrassing. Subject of interest. Traditional or self? Well, self-publishing's free if you're sticking to virtual publish, but damn, sorry guys, I thought I got it all. That's very fair. Let's see. You can't see it because my head's in the way. I'll bring it up closer. I have. Hold on. Before I try to hold things up, let me open up. I have. It's not a good book. For Christmas one year, I printed, I want to say 6 copies of this. Um, 6 copies? Yeah, 4 copies. I printed 3, and then I realized I forgot to print one for my artist who did my art, so I printed her a 4th copy, um, which was really fun, really exciting to have done. So I totally get that, wanting that printed. It also taught me a lot about like vanity presses or self printing kind of presses. Um, One of the really useful things is making sure whatever um, software you're using has has the ability to output things in the appropriate formatting for published works, for like printed works. I'm not saying just go print yourself a couple copies. That was like $16 a book, which wasn't bad. I don't know. I think the prices have probably changed thanks to geopolitical realities and global politics. Um, but more that I totally get it. Like it's so nice to have a physical copy of your stuff. I've had to come to terms with the fact that I'm fairly certain that none of my writing will ever won't fit within what publishers want, especially as the publishing industry kind of collapses in on itself a little bit and gets a little bit more venture capitalist pilled, and so a little bit more risk averse. That's kind of one of the things I've learned over the last couple of years of going to sit in on panels and stuff. The book talk is some of the issue. Some of the issue is there's a broader issue of American literacy and changes in media and attention span. And then there's also a major issue that relates that is just how capitalist, how corporate publishing is now. Where I mean, they've always wanted to make money. They've always, but they're very. It's a similar issue that video games are running into right now, where they're pushing very hard for like sure bet publishing. Um, and if you're writing like apparently 106,000 plus word story in sci-fi fantasy that doesn't particularly have standard issue tropes in it. Oh, I've seen that. Um, yes, there's definitely major issues with book talk, but book talk is also a symptom of a broader literacy issue. The I've seen the people talking about on the book talk stuff about how people um, skip non-dialogue. The people the videos talking about highlighting people who talk about how if it's a first-person book, they can't read it because they don't believe that they would do those things. They're not able to like separate your brain. Um, and I don't know. I can never tell how widespread it is, right? Or if we're cherry picking out like kind of these very loud, vocal, frustrating people. But if nothing else, I'm writing like large scale sci-fi fantasy, and I'm not Brandon Sanderson. It's going to be very hard for me to get published. I've come to terms with that. I also would hate the idea of not having artistic control over like who does my cover and things like that. Like that would drive me up a wall. One of the things you can do is, and I don't remember which is a good company to do it. There are companies who do print on demand, so people can buy physical copy of your book. Amazon being one of them, unfortunately. Um, so you're not actually, having to buy a $20,000 worth of stock. Nice. That's another market that is kind of dead right now. Is young adult. Young adult has kind of collapsed, from what I understand. None of which is me discouraging, right? You should absolutely pursue publishing. Um, it's 1,000% what you should do. Otherwise, you're paying for editors and all these other things out of your own pocket. Um, but it is really depressing, some of the stuff I've seen. All right, focusing. Focusing. All right. If I come to terms with the reality that I think I've just shot myself in the foot, and I think I'm finishing book one of this series instead of halfway through book one, I am deeply offended by this reality. But that means I technically need to finish off this scene, finish off Relia stands so that it lands in a good hook. Um, or at least kind of a good hook, and then we can worry about figuring out what the real hook is and everything. 106,000 words. And I need to finish two of the chapters that I've kind of been skipping over. What I might do is I might package that into a thingy and send it to my alpha reader for them to determine if it's a good book or not. Or, like, if it's... Yeah, it'll probably be close to 120k. As far as I'm concerned, we haven't even hit the falling action. Um, but if we haven't even hit the falling action, that tells me that the falling action is probably the middle book. I am unfortunately a Tolkien-esque writer. All right, I'm gonna be right back though. Stream. I need to go to the restroom, and I'm gonna hit run an ad just so that we don't waste time of me talking with an ad going. So I'm gonna be back in a few minutes. Ha! Ha! Cool. I've been here talking to myself for the last, I don't know, 10 minutes. I apologize, stream. I forgot to turn on my microphone here, not just on the computer. And yeah, there's a notable difference between the two. I can hear myself talking with this setup, which I do hate, but um, um, hi stream, I'm back for real. Apparently, apologies. I don't know, Jessica, if you're still hanging out or not, but I dropped a link for a Tumblr thread that is a really good link about what it looks like to submit to a publisher, which squares with a lot of the conversation I heard and had with editors at Worldcon last year. Most of it is just follow the damn rules. Don't submit to a romance book press editor. If you're submitting like Tolkien-esque sci-fi. The internet has effectively distracted me as well, but I'm inclined to agree with you. However, people can never. No people know how to read. That directions are the hardest thing in the world for people to read. God damn it. I want to listen to music, but I don't know what I want to listen to, and I hate that spot. I hate being in that spot where I don't know. That's, yeah. But it is interesting how much doing the basic directions when you're publishing can move you from like like into the top to like 10 to 15% of submissions, and so it like dramatically increases your odds that somebody will um like that you'll actually get read and stuff. Do I need this? There are superhero presses. Um, no, it. I was talking about this earlier with. Oh, hey, it's Jessica. Um, but I'm in a spot where like my writing is too Tolkien-esque, too grand fantasy to be in trend right now for publishers. So there's a really good chance that whatever I write won't make it to won't make it through publishers, or that publishers are going to want me to change a lot of things that I refuse to change. And self-publishing has 1,000 more issues in terms of discoverability and all these other things. But modern publishers are doing a very, very piss poor job of promoting their authors and stuff. So at some point you become like, all right, there are benefits to publishing, but they're not the benefits they used to be. You tell me I'm old. I'm kidding. Although, let me adjust my camera a little bit. Yeah, I had a really interesting conversation with Ryan Marshall Maresca, the author of the Meridane Saga, who has like 32 books in an epic fantasy, like high fantasy setting, but it is a genuine struggle to publish them traditionally. Um, and some of that is publishing has changed. There's a chance at some point publishing will swing back in that direction. Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. I really enjoy my writing. I still love the idea of publishing just so that other people can read my writing. So I will probably pursue self-publishing. I also don't think there's anything wrong with going with, um, you know, with going trad publishing. Well, and one of the things that's shifted is that trad publishing used to be self-publishing used to be a death sentence in terms of trad publishing. Like trad pub wouldn't pick up anything that was ever self-published, and that has changed pretty radically these days. You have to get pretty big to be picked up by trad publishing if you're self-published. But if you are, you get a lot more control of your own material and everything. Um, but as much as I don't like the book, Dungeon Crawler Carl is a really good example of a self-published work that got some traction, picked up some traction, and then traditional publishing came around and was like, okay, cool, you are doing really well. Let me let's work out a publishing deal here. I don't even think I've heard of Sword of Kagan. But yeah. Yeah, it definitely sounds like it's a little unpolished from the quick flicking through a little bit of Reddit thread. But no hate to the author. I've read some truly awful traditionally published books as well, so is it romanticy? Interesting. I generally prefer female led narratives. Um, I also wouldn't call it a genre. Yeah, it might be less about female led, um, especially as somebody who is fairly left, like deeply leftist. Like, I don't agree with the diversity inclusion is a genre that can be a negative, but um, and a lot more to do with like contemporary writing style and like some and this, depending on the genre you're in, how like it's a if it's fast fiction. This is the opposite of fast fiction. This shit's taken me 8 years, I think, or more. This might have taken me about a decade. Only for me to find out I'm writing multiple fucking books again. I don't know if I want. I'm gonna. You know what? We're gonna do this. Include a scene with the kids reacting to. Female-led sci-fi fan. No. Sci-fi fantasy political thriller that is in fact female-led. My main character is a pain in my ass who pushed herself like 4,000 years earlier in the timeline to take over the narrative. But she's still my favorite person in the world, one of my favorite characters in the world. And specifically science fantasy, so it's people who throw fireballs, will occasionally use swords, but also spaceships and mechs and things like that. Um, I just did a word count check, only to discover that I am 106,000 words into this novel. And I probably have another 60,000 words to add. And I realize that I might not be in a situation where, like, there might be a spot to cut this at about 106,000 words, maybe about 115,000 words, um, where what I thought was going to be like the falling action of a story is actually going to be the start of a book two. I've been writing in the same universe, at the very least, of everything. Um, like, kind of in the same universe for like 25 years. So, if I get bored, I tend to bounce off. I tend to like just bounce around in the world. But I've been trying to finish this book. Um, and thankfully, I've been able to stay focused and kind of push through it. Jesus Christ, look at this shit. Internet has distracted me again. This is nothing but AI slop shit. Uh, this one, this one feels like I think it's been about 8 years. I don't write a ton every day. I have too many other things, and I'm too easily distracted by the universe. So it's not. It's 8 years, but it's not really like 8 years of working every day. Might be a little more than 8 years, but all right. We're gonna do this though. Um, we're gonna do. That's pretty good. 8 2 6. Plans to tread through shadow to the edge of night. That's awesome. Congrats. On the talk show. Plans to do the I just got an ad for the most. These are being sold as body positivity romance. All of it is AI slop. It's 20 books, one author. Remember, all of this is AI garbage, but also I don't think any of that is going to be body positivity in any way. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like I imagine all of that is horrible. Fat phobic in that weird like toxic positivity kind of fat phobic. Or the fake positivity fat phobic. Really? That's shocking. Not that I'm not surprised by it, but they have such limited space. I'm surprised because most major publishers are super against AI as well. Um, well, maybe not super against. Yeah, it's both depressing and potentially unsurprising. Okay. All right. Do I want to deal with this right now, or do I want to wrap up stream? Um, I think I do need a scene of these two chilling and chatting. Good to meet you. Thank you for coming through. Thanks for the follow as well. I just noticed that. In the... family living room. Back to the pause. Show him sensational actions. Should probably not be openly threatening a sitting elder. Hide that. So, she's too scared. I trust her. You think? Sorry. Shit, I got a popcorn kernel wedged in my tooth. Missed that. Habits like that get you trouble later. A lesson we've learned multiple times. Man, I know I'm gonna have to clean up a bunch of these tags and stuff. Gotta turn my brain on and focus. I think this is a good start. Kids venting. Hint that Rel is going to flip. Alright, stream. I'm going to wrap up here. I have some things to think about with this book now, apparently. Thank y'all for coming through and hanging out and chatting. And thank you for all the new followers as well. Always good to have folks around. But I'm going to wrap up stream here for now. I am not going to be here next week at all. I should be back the week after that. At the very least on a Wednesday night stream. And the Wednesday night streams might be my more consistent stream for the next couple of weeks because